Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to Therapy Thursdays. So as a mom, I often face conversations with my children that start here and then go here and then here and then here and here and almost everywhere all over the map before they actually tell me what was really going on with them. This is a common phenomenon that doesn't just happen at home, but it happens at the office as well. Often I have a client come in and they'll start with one problem and then they'll talk about another and then another and then another. And before you know it, before I can even catch my breath, I realize that they've started to flood. Emotional flooding is an experience that when people talk about something and then something else and they overwhelm themselves with the number of problems that they've got. Now, subhanAllah, we are all full of a lot of problems in our lives. And I'm not undermining or cutting anyone short of their worries and their problems because subhanAllah, they're all individually very important and it's necessary for us to deal with whatever challenges come in our way. But if we start emotional flooding, we can't solve anything. Emotional flooding, or in some cases known as stacking, is when people take one thing and then add more and more and more, and the layers that they create actually start handicapping them and hindering them from getting to any positive or any result that's going to help them through their problems. In fact, emotional flooding happens to people when they are under a lot of stress and they just can't see through the haze and cloud of all of their challenges and all of their problems. So if you're an emotional flooder and you notice that you seem to stack your problems one on top of the other, take a deep breath. Every problem that you've got, we're going to work through it. But in order for you to have the skills to work through your problem, you're going to have to start pacing yourself and picking up the problems one at a time. Choosing which problem to work with first can sometimes be a very daunting experience because when you're flooding, you think that everything is important. So a great exercise that you can work on is to take a piece of paper and start writing everything down. Everything that's happening or buzzing in your mind or making you feel overwhelmed or stressed out, put it down on a piece of paper and then start ranking it or crossing things off that list. If they're really not real worries or real problems or real stressors, take them off the list and save them for later. And whatever you have left, rank it in order of importance. What do I need to go through first? What do I need to solve first? What do I need to address first? When you put things down on paper, it starts changing that perception because all that overwhelming emotional flooding that was happening up in your mind is now outside of you and on that paper. Just that transfer of energy from internal to external will really allow you to see things from a very different perspective. And having that perspective in front of you will be your first stepping stone into solving the problems that you've been flooding with in the first place. Manage your stress. People who are emotional flooders are usually people who are very stressed out and tend to overdo themselves or overwork themselves. So for that, you want to make sure that you're practicing adequate self-care. If you've managed your stress well, you're going to notice that you're not going to emotionally flood that frequently. But when you are flooding, take it out on the piece of paper, allow yourself to see it from a different perspective. Then you want to start breathing through your problems. Allow yourself to categorize everything up here and say, nope, I'm not going to let myself flood because flooding is going to lead to failure. And that's not what we're about. We're here to succeed. And inshallah, if you allow your thoughts to come out of your head and in front of you, you're going to be able to take care of them one at a time. Anytime you catch yourself emotionally flooded or emotionally overwhelmed and you notice that you're stacking problems one on top of the other and everything seems to be bringing you down, stop. Take that breath and tell yourself, flooding leads to failure. And if I want to succeed, I got to stop myself in my tracks, allow myself to reprogram what's happening here by putting it in front of me, categorizing it, crossing things off that are not important, putting them in a list of order from importance of I need to take care of this first and this can wait for later, and then tackle your problems one at a time. I assure you, emotional flooding is very common and it happens to a lot of people. We start stacking our problems thinking that if we can just get all of it out of our system, that's what's going to make it go away. But unfortunately, that's not what happens. People who are flooders in their head tend to get so overwhelmed that it almost cripples them into thinking that they can find their solutions. So stop the flooding, take a breath, rework the program in your head, reprocess that information, and start solving your problems one at a time.